Geek Fitness.
Hey everybody, it's Robert here with Geek Fitness, and today I want to talk about the dreaded plateau. It's something everybody's going to face when you're on a weight loss journey, especially a significant weight loss journey. So, I want to talk a little bit about what causes a plateau, some of the things that can cause it, and some of the things that have been effective for me to break through them, as well as determining if you really are in a plateau. That's very important as well, because it's not just weight that you care about. Your weight could stay the same while your body transforms to a better composition. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So weight loss plateaus happen. I think the biggest reason is when you started where I did, morbidly obese. I was 312 pounds when I started my journey. I am now 224 pounds. I'm kind of in a plateau right now. I've been at that weight for about a month, 224. It's gone up and down a little bit. I'll talk about why I think that is here in a little bit. But as you lose weight, your metabolism is going to drop. So your weight directly corresponds to your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, how many calories you burn just by being alive, right? You're going to burn so much calories every day to breathe, to think, to sleep, to digest food, just to live. The heavier you are, the more you're going to burn. So as the weight comes off and your weight comes down, you're going to naturally be burning less calories every day. So let's say you're doing it properly, or I think there's lots of proper ways to lose weight, but let's say you're doing the recommended way that most doctors would recommend to maybe lose a pound a week, right? And maybe you're in a deficit of 200 calories a day. That's not a lot, right? Maybe if your maintenance weight calories, just to make it easy, is 2,000 calories, and you go down to 1,800. So you're in a 200 a day, 200 calories a day deficit, and you're going to start losing weight slowly at a reasonable pace. As your weight comes down, that 2,000 calories a day that it takes to maintain your weight is going to drop, right? And maybe it will drop to 1,900. So now your deficit is really only 100 calories a day, so the weight will come off slower. Once you hit 1,800, maybe you'll come down to where your daily requirements are 1,800 calories a day because you've lost so much weight. So your calorie burn is less. You are now maintaining. You will not lose any weight. This is now a plateau, right? So if you still have fat on your body that you want to lose and you have hit that plateau, there's ways to break through it. The first is make sure you're really in a plateau. Is it fat? Are you gaining muscle? That's why strength training and building some muscle on your body is so important when you're losing weight, because muscle is more metabolic of a tissue than fat. So you could lose fat and gain muscle, and your metabolic rate is going to be much better than if you had just lost the fat, right? Because you're replacing the weight with muscle. So if I replace 2 pounds of fat with 2 pounds of muscle, my metabolic rate has not gone down, but I have lost fat, and that's what you want. That's why the scale is not the only measure you should be using. Like I said, I'm currently 224 pounds, but I've been doing a heavy 5x5 weightlifting program, full body, 3 days a week, and I'm definitely putting on muscle for sure. And I know that for sure only because I'm taking measurements of my body. I'm measuring my waist, I'm measuring my hips, I'm measuring my neck, I'm measuring my biceps, my thigh, So my chest has gained an inch. My biceps have gained about a half an inch. My hips have gained, I think from the squats, about an inch, but my waist is down an inch and a half, even though I'm the same weight. This is in a month's time of doing this heavy program. I was doing it before that, but my waist measurements are shrinking. My muscle has definitely been built on my body, and I'm the same weight. I'm 224 today. I was 224 a month ago. However, my body composition is much better. I have more muscle and less fat. Now, I still have fat to lose, so I'm still in a caloric deficit. So that's the next thing we need to talk about. So when you want to lose weight, there's a few things that go into the equation, right? Your BMR that I talked about, your basal metabolic rate. What can you do to increase that? You can add muscle is the biggest thing you can do to increase your BMR. Your BMR will go up if you add fat too, but that's kind of going the other direction, right? That's not where you want to go. So you can raise your BMR. Putting on more muscle is the easiest, most effective way to do that. Your input, how much food are you taking in every single day? If you take in more calories than you need, then you will gain weight, right? If your muscles have an hypertrophy, if you've been working out with the strength training, those extra calories can be used to build muscle. If you're not, or if you eat even more than your muscle recovery needs, then you will add fat, right? So the input, what you put in your body, you can drop those if you hit a plateau. So if you hit a plateau, calories, you need to look at your calories, how many you're taking in a day. First, make sure that you're being honest with yourself about how many calories you're taking in. I think a lot of times, even for me, I track my calories religiously, but a handful of nuts here, right? A piece of cheese there. Like this little snacking might start coming back in, as you're making progress. You start putting food in your mouth that you're not tracking. Oh, that's only 50 calories. I can let it go. That stuff will creep up on you. So be aware of that. Be honest with yourself in your tracking. It's very important. If you don't track properly, you won't know how many calories you've been taking in, and you won't know how to lower that number, what number to lower it to. So in my earlier example, if I'm taking in 1,800 calories a day and I'm at a plateau, I might want to drop it to 1,700. Do that for a couple of weeks and see if that gets me off of that weight loss plateau, or 1,600. Right? You can lower your calories. Other things you can do is your output. Right? We've already talked about the BMR. Putting on muscle is the best way to increase that. But there's two other things that are part of the calories you burn every day besides your BMR. That's your NEAT activity, the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's the fat that you burn just from doing everyday activities in your life, doing chores, fidgeting, all that kind of those little things that aren't exercise but burn calories, movement. Try to increase that every day. An Apple Watch or a tracker is a very good way that you can do that. It will show you what your activity calories burnt are, kind of estimates that. So maybe you just make a habit of walking to the mailbox more, right? Maybe you make a habit of meetings. Maybe you walk the dog more. Maybe you do the dishes more. Maybe you take on some other chore that you haven't been doing. Maybe you take that on to get more activity in. So those little things can make a big difference, especially when you incorporate them consistently every day to increase your NEAT. The last thing is clearly exercise. The more exercise you do, the more calories you're going to burn, and the more weight you will lose, as long as you're not compensating with more calories in, right? So, exercise, again, strength training, you're going to burn calories with strength training. Steady state cardio is going to burn the most calories the time you're doing the cardio, but high intensity interval training or heavier strength training is going to not burn as many calories during the workout because it's shorter. However, you're going to have a bigger after burn effect. You're going to be burning more calories longer after you're done exercising. All those things are great. I recommend doing them in combination. I do circuit training, I do weightlifting, I do walking, I do rowing, I do elliptical once in a while. Try to mix things up, and that is absolutely fine, but increase it. If you're at a plateau, increase the exercise, increase the NEAT, right? Increase your BMR by building more muscle, right? Reduce the calories that you're taking in. You can do one of those things. You can do all of those things. You can do a combination of those things. But that's really how you break through a plateau. The last plateau I was in, I broke through it big time with an extended fast, with a 5-day fast. I've done a 3-day fast to break through a plateau as well. So fasting has lots of health benefits besides losing weight. But if you're at a plateau and you're at a point in your life where a fast that makes sense for you, you're in good health to do it, you have experience doing it, you know how to do it safely, a 24-hour, a 48-hour, a 72-hour, a 120-hour fast, gain the health benefits from that, and you will bust through that weight loss plateau. That takes discipline and dedication, but I highly recommend fasting. I'm not going to talk too much about fasting in this video. It's something you really need to research and make sure you understand before you try to do it on your own, and make sure you're prepared and have the knowledge needed to do it safely. But fasting is a great tool, especially to bust through a weight loss plateau. And again, measure your body. Don't just weigh yourself. That is not telling the whole story. Impedance scales that could estimate your body fat percentage, those are notoriously not very good. There's online calculators. I think the Navy method is probably the most accurate. Monitoring your body fat is a very good way. There's more expensive ways you can do that, by going to do a DEXA scan or something like that. Most people aren't going to do that because of the cost, but that's really only the accurate way to show you exactly how much fat you're losing as you go on your journey. But those measurements, the tape measure, measuring your waist and your chest and your arms, looking at your body, if you're seeing more muscle definition in certain parts of your body and less fat, if you've used calipers to test how much fat you have on different parts of your body, that's a great tool as well. If you're seeing less fat on your body and more muscle definition, that's a clear signal that you're gaining muscle or losing fat, or both, right? So if you're seeing that and your weight isn't changing, it's okay, right? Because that's what you want. You want more muscle, a healthier body, but less fat. Just because your weight is the same doesn't mean you're necessarily not losing fat. Right, so that's very, very important. So I hope this was helpful. Weight loss plateaus will happen to you. Don't let them discourage you. First, figure out if you're really in a plateau. If you are in a plateau, think about the things I've talked about here: decreasing your calories, increasing your BMR, increasing your NEAT, your non-exercise activity, and increasing your exercise, right? Make sure you're being honest with the input, the food that you're putting in your body. And most importantly, make sure that you're actually in a plateau, right? Because we care about losing fat, not losing weight. I hope this was helpful. I know it comes in everybody's journey. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen to you. Don't let it discourage you. If you truly are in a plateau, bust through it. You can do it by the methods that I've just described, and keep going.